The reasons why parents, turn to the cane or to the belt or to the plank or their hands whenever a child does something stupid or just falls out of line is because sometimes they are frustrated, sometimes they are tired, they're exhausted. We have parents who are working 2 jobs, we have parents who are doing night shifts.
Hi family, it's time to rewrite narratives. This is Family Journal.
Hey family! Hi guys! Happy Sunday! Good afternoon or good evening everybody whenever you're streaming today's episode. I hope we had a wonderful week and a wonderful Sunday too. And I'm wondering how the week went. How did we maneuver traffic? How did we maneuver stress, bills, workload and every other thing, and just being present in our families? How did we go through all of that phase and cycle? I hope we were able to do it well. I hope everyone is doing well today. And yes, I also want to appreciate us for constantly supporting the Family Journal, submitting topics to us, sharing your stories, streaming our episodes, sharing the link, rating us. Thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate you guys. And I'd say cheers to many, many great heights and transforming family life in the best way possible. So, guys, last episode was Basbos. We talked about discipline versus abuse, and I did get a few feedbacks and some questions too. People were wondering, okay, now that you've told us that spanking originated from slavery, are you saying we should totally eradicate spanking in families? Sometimes it works, sometimes it restores people to their default setting. So what do you think we should do, especially when a child is extremely stubborn? And then we had people who said, you just speak English, I go knock this speaking. But whatever the case is, I'm glad I was able to put out my intention there, and I know that those who will benefit from it, and every one of us will be fine in the end. I want to start by saying that I am 100% aware that some parenting methods are not a one-size-fits-all for every parent. That's the truth. What works for parent A will not work for parent B. This is because parent A and parent B are not raising the same children. They're raising 2 different individuals wired differently by God. Different interests, different thought patterns, different lessons, different family background, different experience and associations, different decisions. And so we don't expect that every single thing that parent A has said is going to work for parent B. However, there are basic things every family should know and do, and there are basic things that works for everybody. My number 1 rule to every parent, any day, anytime, is observe and guide. That is the best way to raise children. Observe them and guide them. The punishment that parent A can give to their children might not work for parent B because, like I said, these children are wired differently, and so we don't expect that because it worked for parent A, it will work for parent B. However, it is not a bad idea for parent A and B to exchange ideas, to air what's on their mind. Like I said in the previous episode, something that parent A says can work for you. It might not be exactly as they said it, but our minds are beautifully crafted, and so you can think of it in a different way that is suitable and will work for you. And that is the most beautiful thing. And that is why I said you shouldn't do parenting alone. But I'm here to remind you that there is no one-size-fits-all for every family. There are only basic foundations or principles that every single person must follow. So back to the question, should we entirely eradicate spanking? I would like to say that it is not really about spanking, because people think I just came for spanking because I don't want people to flog children. Some people will be like, are you on our side or are you on the side of the children? Please, I will always be on the side of the children. However, when they are wrong, I will not stand for what is wrong. But I want all children to thrive in a healthy environment. So I would say it's not really about caning or not caning a child. It's about our first line of approach whenever we try to discipline children. Why is it that as soon as a child does something, somebody is raising their hands? Why? Why is it that we don't like to talk things out? Why is it that we just want to instill fear in children and that's it? We just like to dismiss the case, because if you flog a child, it's easy. All you need to do, give him some strokes of cane. And the child just knows that if I do anything, I'll just keep getting caned. There's something that it's doing to the child's psychology. Have you noticed that some of the time, the reasons why parents, turn to the cane or to the belt or to the plank or their hands whenever a child does something stupid or just falls out of line is because sometimes they are frustrated, sometimes they are tired, they're exhausted. We have parents who are working 2 jobs. We have parents who are doing night shifts. We have parents trying to put food on the table. Let's say Adenka, went out of line, or he broke their neighbor's window or something when he kicked the ball. And his dad was already thinking of how to pay Adenka's school fees and Remy's school fees. Remy is Adenka's brother. And maybe they even have rent due. Imagine the frustration. And maybe things at work are not going too well, and probably mommy's business is struggling. I'm just creating the worst scenarios possible that could make somebody frustrated. There are many things and many more things that can make parents frustrated. Now, with all of that frustration, Adenka's dad drives home, and what he's welcomed with is, "Your son broke my window." Do you know how frustrating Adenka's father will be? Especially if the first person that he sees as he enters the house is Adenka. You hear things that parents did. They removed the child's shorts, let the child lay naked like that, and then they'll just cane the child, on their flesh, or they'll apply pepper in the eye, pepper in the bum, all those things. To us, it was frightening when we were growing up. We even hailed our parents for doing it. We'll say things like, my daddy is very wicked. If my daddy flog you like this, we're applauding these things as children. And growing up now is like, I know fit. Compassion has held us. So the truth is, a lot of times parents cane not because they want to, but because they are frustrated. And they don't know what other way to express their frustration. We don't really talk about mental health in families. We rarely talk about emotional intelligence in families. Nobody talks about, okay, when I'm frustrated, what do I do? How do I do it? We rarely do those things. And so it's now a norm, especially if this was what your father did. If your father was here, this is exactly what he would do. If your mom was here, this is exactly how she will handle the situation. And this is something you've seen over time. And I'm not expecting that when you want to learn about parenting, you should go outside first. No, you should start from your home. That is a normal thing to do. Before you be looking for models, start from your home. Now, I know that some families may not have, things that are worthy of emulation, but that doesn't mean that there are no lessons in that home. I was talking to a friend earlier in the week, and I talked about how even when a family is not doing well, there are lessons. And what are the lessons? Lessons that talk about things that you should not do or mistakes you should not make. So even when things are bad, you should learn how not to do those things because you've seen them firsthand and you've seen the results. So what am I trying to say in essence? Guys, it's not really about caning or not caning a child. It's about the first line of discipline. So there's something I like to say, when you are frustrated as a parent, I'd advise that you just cool off. Because I know that it's not easy, especially when the child is there. It's not easy. But if you can create a rule that says when you offend, just go far. I don't know how you want to do it. Or you yourself stay outside of the house or just cool off. And I know it's hard. It's hard because there's so much to do. There are bills to pay. But I just feel like, could you just chill? So that you don't get so angry that your child gets the first hand of the frustration. Because I can remember how one of my relatives had his hand dislocated. It was through anger. They were trying to tell him to put on his shoes, and he was just teasing the person and letting the person chase him and all of that. And out of annoyance, the person slammed him on the bed, and from slamming him, that's how his hand became dislocated. He still carries that scar till today, and the kind of resentment he holds towards that person. So what I'm trying to say is that let us do things differently. And that is why when we talked about why family, we told us that family is for support and family is out there so people can look out for one another. I also talked about in The Family I Desire that family life is not a joke. It's not a joke, you know. Let me say something. I watched a video hours ago, and in that video there was a boy yelling at his mother. He was really raged. Why did his mother drink his garri? And she even washed the plastic for him and kept it. He was angry, shouting at her that why did she? I wish a lot of people could watch this video. He was very angry. And somebody was like, why are you yelling at mom? Don't do that. He said, don't tell me to not yell at her. He was so angry. He used vulgar language. And you might think that he's a disrespectful child, but come to think of it, what will make a child use vulgar language? What will make a child yell at his mother disrespectful if it's not what has been happening in the home? That child looks like a child that is frustrated. That child looks like a child that has never been a child from day one. Because that boy was young. I'm not sure he's up to 15. He should be like 13 or 12. Yet he's fending for himself. And so when his mother goes to drink the last portion of garri that was left, if na you for vex. What if he had not had breakfast since morning? What if he preserved it after trying to, fend for myself today, I will take this one and then, drink water and rest. And then, only to come back, she had taken it and then she had washed the container. That boy looks like a child that has never been a child from day one. He has always been fending for himself. So guys, it's not really about caning the child. The question is, before you decided to have a family, did you factor in what it will take to have a family? Did you realize that at some point, when you decide to have children, you will be responsible for them? And if you decide to have more than one, you have two whole human beings to look after. And if you say your wife must give birth to 4 or 5 and she said she has agreed, that you people have a lot of work to do. Did you also know that parenting does not stop with giving your child food and sending them to school? Did you also know that parenting also requires that you are emotionally present in your child's life, that you are physically present in your child's life, mentally present in your child's life? Did you know? Did you also know that your actions and words can actually make or mar your child? Did you also know that they are sponges and so they would emulate some of the things you are doing? Did you factor in all of these things? And that there are days that will not be smooth, that there are days that will get on your nerves, and that there are days you would have to sacrifice certain things for them. Did you factor all of this in? It is not really about birthing children. A lot of people can birth children, but do you have what it takes to make sure that that child you are bringing to this wicked, cold world has a bed to lay their head, has a shoulder to cry on? Because sometimes kids have questions. They want to speak with their parents, but they cannot. Because at the end of the day, daddy is not accessible. Mommy is not accessible. And then I want to confide in my classmate who does not even have the right knowledge to guide me. And at the end of the day, we have a scenario of a blind man leading another blind man. So people, it's not really about the caning alone. It's not about the cane. The question is, why is that the first line? Why don't we talk to children? Tell the child why the child should not do that thing. Let the child know that in this life, start talking to children right from when they are small. Talk to them. As a parent, your mouth will pain you. You will talk. You will talk. And you should get ready for that if you want to have children. Tell them reasons why they should not do things. Give them instances. Use your life as example. Be open. Talk to them as much as you can. Establish principles at home. Let them know that by 6 p.m. nobody goes out again. Say those things and keep to your word. Don't be a parent that is tossed about. Don't be an unstable parent. Be present. With these little principles, with these little blocks that you are building, we'll get somewhere. We'll arrive at something. You only focusing on the fact that I talked about caning children should not even be your focus. Your focus is, how can I make my parenting journey a smooth one, even though life is not smooth? how can I maneuver this journey rightly so that I don't nurture children who are frustrated? That should be your first line of concern. That should be your first line of concern. Not these other things that we are, bothered or bugged about. And I want to say this. I'm saying this out of love and truth. I know that things are hard. The economy is crazy all over the world. But I also want to say that regardless of the shifts that you are working, it does not, I'll say it again, it does not erase your responsibility as a parent. You must be present in your child's life. Find a way to be present. That is why I said, if you are not ready to provide the holistic needs of a child, please don't birth them. Don't birth them. I've had conversations with children and sometimes they leave me with tears in my eyes. These kids want to talk to their parents, but they cannot. Sometimes when they confide in me, I'll send them back to their parents and they're like, it did not work. Every single thing you told me to do, I did. But mommy said the same thing she had always been saying. And do you know how heartbreaking it is? That your child wants to confide in you, that they really actually want to talk to you, but they cannot. Because you think that their words don't matter. Because you think that their opinions don't count. But their opinions count to an extent. When you're sending your child to a boarding school and your child says, Mommy, please, I do not want to go to a boarding school. I want you to ask your child why. When your child says they want to do something, when your child says, this is what I want to do, I want you to ask the child why. So that you know what is influencing their decision. Is it because their friend is doing it? Or is it because they saw it somewhere? Are they pressured? This is a time for you to know what is happening with your child. I was speaking to one of my students and he said, teacher, I want to be a blogger, but my mom says I must be a doctor. And some parents will be like, which one be blogger? Do I want my child to be hungry? And I know it's from a place of love. But the question is, why do you want to be a blogger? What do you want to blog about? And mind you, this child is just 12. If you start guiding a child from 12 towards what they want, at the end of the day, you will get the desired result you want. Because it might not even be that the boy wants to be a blogger. It might be that he's delving towards something. Because here's how it is. Life is beautiful when we evolve. Life is beautiful when we evolve. So it might be that you started as a content writer and tomorrow, you're a script writer. Life is in phases. So maybe at the incipient stage, this child just wants to do this one. The child is just testing the waters. And if the child starts now, it's good though. He will make all the mistake. Do the trial and error now. And before the child is 25, before the child is 22, the child has found their footing in where they belong. But if you are there, you are arguing with them, immediately they say something to you, you are shouting no. How do you think you can help that child? That's the truth. Let's think about these things. People should start having conversations in families. People should start talking. Let us question some of the things we do. Let us go over them. Let us review these processes, these things. Guys, if we really want to make family life work, we need to review these things. We need to come to a place where we decide that, okay, we will make this thing work, whatever it takes. We should stop shutting children up in families. Listen to them. Sometimes these children have solution. Sometimes they know what they are saying. Their minds are evolving. Their minds are processing things. They are learning every day. And so they will have questions. And I know that sometimes their questions can be frustrating, but you must listen. You're angry because your child came to meet you when you are tired. Have you ever thought your child that when somebody looks very exhausted, when somebody looks tired, they should give the person breathing space? Have you ever thought a child? Because I can remember that one of my baby cousins, one time I was very tired and she wanted to come and I was telling her, can you give me about 30 minutes to cool off? When I rest a little bit, you can come back. And she said, no problem. The next time I was tired, I did not need to open my mouth to tell her, can you give me 30 minutes to cool off? She just automatically said, oh, Auntie Jane, do you need a few minutes to cool off? I can come back in an hour time. I was like, wow. So what I did previously worked. All I did was to tell her that I needed a moment to cool off in the past. And she now realized that, okay, when people are tired, give them space to cool off. Then you come back to talk about what you want to talk about. People need to start learning to create safe environments for children. Not every time you are shouting, your child cannot approach you. Nobody can approach you. You are unapproachable. I wonder how we want to build the family with that kind of lifestyle. I wonder how we want to build the family when this is the order of the day in family. It's not really about who is caning a child and who isn't caning a child. The question is, why is it that the first line of discipline is always cane? Why don't we talk things out in family? Why are children shut up in families? Why don't they talk? That's the question. What did you learn that has now become a part of your life? And so this is me calling us to a place of reflection. You may have many questions. You may not agree with a lot of the things I say, and that's fine. But can we do better? Can we do better? Can we help these kids? Can we try a different method? Everything doesn't have to be violent all the time. Everything doesn't have to result to flogging. Everything doesn't have to result to the past ways. The biggest mistake anybody will make is trying to parent children in this generation with the previous parenting methods. You will fail woefully because you are parenting children who grew up on the internet. You are parenting children who grew up with Snapchat. You are parenting children who grew up with everything called screen time. A lot of us grew up in the time when kerosene and lanterns were a thing. A lot of us grew up in the time and age when your neighbor is watching TV and so you just peep from the window to see what is happening on the TV. Their time and our time are different. So when you are using parenting methods from the past, look for the strategic ones, the ones that you know will work in any system. Strategy, rules and regulation. That one can work through generations to come. Rules and regulation will always work. But some of those other things, like being inaccessible as a parent, please, can you let it go? You have to be accessible as a parent. Your children shouldn't have to be running inside the house because daddy came home. Nobody has to keep repeating cycles from the past, please. So once again, I say, can we reflect? Can we talk about these things and find a possible solution to helping parenting become better? And so even before we round off, I want to share something that one of us in the community shared with me. She said, "Permit me to use this opportunity to confide in you. Earlier today, I tried having a sensitive conversation with my mom. I even led with, 'Mommy, can I be honest with you?' just to get her to see things from my perspective. And before I could even land my point, she hit me with, 'No, no, no.' And as expected, she became defensive. I just let it go. Again, most times, my pillow gets the tears. It always does. The thing is, it's really hard growing up in a home where you're not allowed to express your emotions or even talk freely about how you feel. That kind of emotional suppression has to come out somehow. Sometimes it shows up as bullying, sometimes timidity. People often misunderstand quiet kids, not realizing that many of them actually want to connect, but have been taught that speaking up leads to being shut down. For me, it has showed up as being unnecessarily argumentative. Even when I'm just trying to talk, my brain goes into defend mode. Like someone says something harmless, and something in me is like, argue that. Not because it needs argument, but because all my life, I have had to fight to be heard, to have an opinion, to get permission to want anything, even the good things. I had to struggle to justify why I deserved them. Most times in my private space, I go, did you really have to argue that? So now, rejection, any form of it, hits me too deeply. If I share an idea and it's not welcomed, I feel like I'm back in that place of needing to fight just to exist. Or is it the need to be noticed or stand out? The unnecessary need to compare myself with someone, anyone, just to feel better about myself or people pleasing? I can go on and on about how this single thing has affected my life so much. But thank God for the Holy Spirit, and thank God that He's consistently bringing me freedom. Children out there are battling traumas they didn't ask for, all because their parents didn't give them safe spaces to express themselves. A child will express emotions one way or another. If not in your home, where they can be guided and taught, then out there, where they'll likely get it wrong. That is how some people became bullies. That's how others withdraw completely, and that's how trauma lives on, undetected and unspoken. This was what somebody in the community shared with me, and just like I've always been saying, when you do not create safe space for children, when you don't allow them to talk, some of these things will follow people into adulthood. I've said it before. Every adult was once a child. You and I were once children, and some of the decisions we made were shaped by our experiences. This person who shared this thing with me is talking about how they are not allowed to express themselves in their homes. And you even want to confide in your parents, you cannot, because they are going to either shut you up or be defensive about that thing you are trying to talk to them about. This person is talking about how the fact that even when ideas are rejected, the person is back to that place where they're like, okay, again, I feel rejected. Or even when their idea is rejected, it's like they've lost it all. And life shouldn't be like that, because not everything we say and do should be accepted, right? But because there is a hidden trauma sponsoring that character, you may think that, why is this person always getting angry when their ideas are not accepted? You know, a lot of the things people do today, a lot of the characters we are seeing and complaining about, they are sponsored by trauma. I would say it any day, anytime. You know, children out there are battling traumas. Nobody asked to be born. Nobody asked you to give birth to them. So if you decide that you are going to birth children, prepare and ensure that that child has the sweetest life on this earth. It's the truth. If not, please keep your bonding to yourself. Nobody wants to call you their parent, to be honest. You know? So I hope this story inspires others to share theirs and to just let out all the heat inside of them and realize that there's a place for growth. There's a place to be renewed. You know, we can all get better. It doesn't matter what is happening now. It doesn't matter how traumatic things have been. It doesn't matter what your parents have not allowed. You can always, create boundaries that you need. You can always help yourself. You can always be free. It will take time. It might be long. It might be strenuous, but it will be worth it in the end of the day. I just want to encourage somebody out there, not be discouraged, regardless of what you're going through. You will make it through. If I can decide to get rid of traumas, if I can decide to confront the things that need to be confronted, you can do it. You most certainly can do it and even do better. I'm rooting for you every day. And even if you think you don't have what it takes to be an outstanding individual tomorrow, I know you will do well, because I know you will take the necessary steps required. I also want to say that you all have been my biggest motivation, ensuring that I meet our targets and just do what is necessary to service everyone. Our love work for the week is nurture with your words. And our love work for the month still remains put a smile on a child's face. And I hope that every single thing we've talked about today not only inspires somebody, but stirs them up to put to practice and work out what needs to be worked out. I really do love you guys. You have no idea, and I hope everybody gets better. I hope family life thrives in the best way possible. And I hope, tomorrow we'll be glad that we took this step. Also, this is to let us know that if you want these episodes to keep going to the people who need them, you need to help us push the episodes. Push the episodes. Please rate us on Spotify. Follow us if you're yet to. Share the link. Share it. Share your stories with us, whether with our anonymous link or via the email. Ensure that you are doing the needful even as we go on this amazing journey. Guys, I love you so much, and I would see us next Sunday.
Thank you for listening to the Family Journal. To share your story or your topics with us, reach out to us on familyjournalstories@gmail.com. If you want to keep it anonymous, you can reach out to us on Instagram @the Family Journal and get the anonymous link in our bio. Thank you.